Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to teach you and explain you everything you need to know about AI agents within n8n, how they work, and just a bit of what are AI agents in general, opposed to a classic standard workflows like something like Zapier. And also we'll discuss the key components of the AI agents, right? So if that sounds cool and something you will learn today, then let's go ahead and dive into it right away. Okay, so quickly let's cover what's the difference between the AI agents and standard workflows like something like Zapier, for example, right? So AI agents, essentially the key difference is that they can perform actions autonomously or sort of on its own, right? Which is obviously not ideal. You always want to create some prompts and system messages and kind of explain what it's supposed to do with the data and what's the expectation, how it should be handled, and what is the final output expectation from the agent. But even if you, for example, don't provide any data and just connect a bunch of tools, it will be still able to figure out what it's supposed to do, right? So for example, if I don't explain anything to this agent and I just randomly connect this Tavily tool, which is a web scraper, right? It will be able to understand that, okay, I have a web scraper. So if I receive a user request or input, then I can use the web scraper to answer the question correctly or more in depth. So let's do a quick example here. If I let the agent handle the query or search result essentially, or what are you searching for? Let me just pull this up in here. And if I save this, so I can ask the agent to say something like, what's the current weather in Montreal? Okay. So now it's going to be using the Tavily tool. Obviously, I made a fundamental mistake and I forgot to connect a OpenAI chat model here. So let's do that quickly. So we have the brain and we have the tool here. So now we can save that and I can say the same question, what's the weather in Montreal? Okay. And now it's going to go ahead and use agent and you guys can see it autonomously uses the Tavily web scraper, okay? And it gives me a temperature of Montreal that's currently here, okay? So 17 degrees, let's see if that's the case. So it's almost on the spot. Again, it depends on the APIs and which results it pulled, but it's pretty close enough, 15 degrees Celsius, and it told me 17.2. So it was sunny a couple of hours ago. Now the sun went down, so it makes sense that the temperature differs, okay? But the point is that it was able to autonomously go ahead and use the web scraper without having any prompts in here at all. But if we compare that with a classic standard workflow, for example, something like Zapier, right? So that usually operates on a if else then this type of statement, right? So you're gonna have a linear workflow, which basically runs every day or whatever the schedule you preset it. It's gonna do the same thing every day until you manually interfere and change the, for example, the workflow, right? Or the set of instructions between each nodes or the way the nodes are positioned or structured, right? But it's going to be always doing the same thing without any autonomous action or feedback from the LLM model, because essentially workflows without the LLM models, they will always perform a static and linear action every day until you change it yourself manually. So now let's talk about the key components of the AI agents, right? So usually the AI agent on its own doesn't have any functionality, right? So it's really just an empty node. So think of it as a empty casket that doesn't have anything. So now if you want to add a brain or a way for the AI agent to think, you need to add a brain, literally, right? So in our case, we're using a LLM model from OpenAI or chatgpt. So think of it as a brain of the AI agent because it lets the AI agent to think and answer and perform actions autonomously or do something based on the prompts or system messages, right? So that's our AI agent's brain. So then our AI agent needs a memory, okay? It's not specifically a mandatory key component to have, but if you want to have a conversational AI agent, for example, if you want to implement AI agent as a chat agent on website, on your Shopify or whatever the CRM system, right? Or if you want to communicate with your agent about previous interactions, right? So you can have an agent that can save certain conversations or chat histories into a database, for example, Postgre or MongoDB or Superbase, like it's very common. So if you want to have that, you need to give your agent a memory so it can access the past data or past chats, and then it can respond to you based on your question. But the most simple one within the n8n, if you want to kind of see a real life example, we're going to add a simple memory. Again, it's not really a contextual in a sense, and it's session based, meaning that the minute I refresh the page, the memory will be reset. Okay, so it's only valid for as long as you are chatting with an agent on the current session, right? So the minute I refresh that, all of that will be erased. But again, it gets the idea across the point. So let me show you how that works. So if I go here and I ask the same question, hey, what's the weather today in Montreal? Okay. What's going to happen now, it's going to again do its thing. It's going to go and search for the current weather in Montreal. And you guys can see that it triggered the simple memory node in here, right? So we are storing up to 5 context windows within the simple memory, meaning that up to 5 chats at a same time can be stored in the simple memory. Okay, so basically 5 chat conversations can be stored unless I obviously refresh the page. Okay, so if I go back here and if I ask something like, hey, what was my previous question? Okay, now it will be able to answer saying, hey, the question was, what's the weather today in Montreal? Okay, and actually it even included the typos. So it gave me the exact question I asked. And all of that is because of the simple memory here. And if I expand the node, guys, you guys can see it's saving all of that as a JSON in its simple memory node in here. Okay, so that's really a very basic example. And if you want to have more complex database operations, right? So if you want to permanently save this data in the cloud, you would be using something like, for example, there's actually a couple options, but the most popular would be a Superbase. Okay, so it's going to store directly all of that in a Superbase, in a database. And Superbase operates on a PostgreSQL. So you can also do a Postgre. So if I remove my memory from here, all right, and I can go and search for, I can search for Postgre here. Essentially, it's going to be a Postgre account, PostgreSQL account, which is also can be accessed to a Superbase because they do offer a database operations using a SQL. So if you want to permanently store that on a Superbase PostgreSQL cloud database, you will need to set up that in here. Okay, so that's essentially our AI agent's memory. I'll drag it in here. So these are memory nodes. We also have MongoDB and really whichever you are more comfortable working with. Then we are coming to a last AI agent's key component, which is essentially the tools. Okay, so your AI agent has access to multiple tools, and with each n8n update and a lot of big softwares are basically adding their own official tools. Like for example here Tavily, okay, which is a web scraper. It has its own official agent, AI agent tool in n8n. But again, this is not really an exception. There's a lot of them. So if we go to tool, we have all these official tool integrations within n8n, right? So we have, for example, Twitter, right? So if you want to pull data on tweets, and it's really good to kind of keep up to date on the latest things happening within tech or AI in general about the news. So you can basically have an agent that can scrape Twitter for you and send you like a daily summary of what's trending within your niche or within the keywords or hashtags that you want to get some data on. You have Dropbox, and really there's a lot of them. I'm not gonna be covering all of them, but again, you can kind of go through all these ones and kind of see which ones are needed for your workflow or whatever you're trying to build. Most likely there is a tool for that. Okay, we even have a Google Analytics tool, which is pretty awesome because we can connect, for example, to a Google GA4 or Google Analytics tool directly from n8n. So if you want to have like a agent that can analyze GA4 data through the API and basically send you a daily report to maybe help you in general analyzing and crunching data for your e-commerce stores, right? So you can build an AI agent around that using Google Analytics tool, or for example, BigQuery if you are doing data analysis, right? So you can crunch some data in BigQuery, then send to spreadsheets. So really options are limitless here. And I believe the one we skipped is the user prompt. Okay, so let's talk about how we are prompting AI agents or how we can communicate with AI agents, right? So to do that, I'm gonna click on the AI agent and we have a couple options here. So by default, the prompt will be whatever you enter in the chat input here. Okay, so if I expand out here, you guys can see the chat input is basically whatever I asked, or what's the weather, what's the previous question, and the previous question was about the weather. So that's my chat input, okay? That's coming directly from this input or this chat node in here, which is basically a chat node within the n8n. And that's the case if you want to communicate with your AI agent directly, okay, within the n8n. But there's also different options. You can basically do something more custom. So if I click here and define below, what I can do now, I can define a prompt in here. Okay, so I can essentially define a prompt, what I want the AI agent to do, and plus I can inject the user input. And to do that, we are using something called an expression, which is always sort of injected within double curly braces like this. Okay, so that's becoming a JavaScript expression, right? And then it's followed by $JSON, and then we can press on a dot, and these are the options that we have from a previous node. Okay, so since we want to get the variable or dynamic data from the chat input, we need to select a chat input, and you guys can see it's going to be exactly the same question I asked the agent before, right? That's more of a techie way of doing that. You can literally just delete this and drag and drop the chat input JSON object in here, and it's going to give you exactly the same result. And here you can define your prompt in a sense what you want AI agent to do, or maybe you can inject expression data from other nodes. So if you want to combine data from previous nodes and send it to AI agent so it can process it and plus your prompt, then this would be the place to do that. So then we have something called require specific output format. So this is commonly used if you want to structure the output in a specific JSON format, okay? So it really depends on what you want to do, but sometimes when you work with APIs and third-party, maybe webhooks or whatever, you try to send a specific format of the data, or you want to receive a specific response from the agent, which I can commonly use with webhooks. Okay, for example, you're building something on a Replit or Lovable, for example, right? You might want to send a specific response, JSON response to the Lovable, right? So it can render that data out on the front end, right? And to do that, you're going to be using something called require specific output format. And once you do, it's going to give you this output parser option in here. Okay, let me just zoom in. And what's going to happen here, I'm going to click on it and we're going to select the structured output parser node. Okay, and here you're going to define the JSON example. Okay, basically this serves as an actual example to the agent, meaning that your agent will always output the JSON output in this specific format. Okay, so it will really depend on your business logic and what's the expectation of the third party or the front end, or what's the shape of the JSON that you want. So you can define that shape using a structured output parser node in n8n. Then we have something called enable fallback model. Essentially, this is exactly what it is. If your AI model that you're currently using crashes for some reason, something happens, it's going to fall back to a fallback model, literally, or basically a backup plan B AI model for your AI agent. All right, then we have a couple more options that AI agents do offer. If I click on that option, so system message, think of system message as defining a character for your AI agent, right? So it's different from the prompt, right? So the prompt is usually dynamic and based on expressions and dynamic data from the previous node or from a chat node, right? Where system message is going to be more of a static definition, right? So here in system message, in most cases, you will define the character of your AI agent and what it should do or it has to do every time it receives or processes or works with the data that it receives, okay? So you will define something like, for example, you are a pro content generation AI agent and you are generating professional Facebook ads for this and that DTC brand, right? And then you're gonna break it down into like what it should do, right? So always create videos that are, for example, 15 seconds long, or create videos that are always 16:9 aspect ratio, or they are in a square format, 1:1, and etc. Right? And then you're going to define, okay, always maybe use this character or use this voice from 11 Labs, right? So essentially, you are hard coding the characters or characteristics of an agent that it has to always apply and has to always follow the process that is outlined in the system message, okay? So that's more of a static definition versus with a prompt where it's going to be usually dynamic. Then we have something called max iterations. So you can use this one to prevent infinite loops, because something can happen in a sense that something breaks within the API and it goes on an infinite loop, meaning that it's going to keep retrying to do whatever you ask it to do. So it's going to essentially go on an infinite loop, which is not good. And to avoid that, we can add max iterations, okay? So the agent will essentially try maximum 10 times to perform the prompt or do whatever you're asking it to do, maximum 10 times. And if it fails after 10 times, it's going to stop doing that. One of the other last ones that is commonly used is pass through binary images, in a sense that you can pass through a binary data or image files through the agent, right? Because if you try to send, for example, a image that you generated in n8n, for example, right? To generate some kind of image or content. And if you send that to a agent, it might crash and say, hey, like I'm receiving something, I don't really know what to do with it. Or because like by default, a agent cannot really process images or image files, right? So what you can do, you can enable this to pass through the binary images through the agent node. So for example, you're going to receive a binary data from the HTTP request, for example, from Gemini or from Google, your generated image. It's going to pass through the binary image file data, and then you're going to send it to something in most cases called convert to file. Okay, so this one here. So what's going to happen? It's going to basically convert it to file from the binary. So in this case, you would be choosing this one here, move base64 to a file. So it's going to take that binary file, which is essentially a base64. It's going to convert that to a file, so you can download a image directly from n8n and then maybe upload that to your Google Drive, for example. Okay, so the entire flow would be something like this. We have a HTTP request, or basically GET request from the HTTP node with the generated or ready to go content or image from Google's n8n, for example. Then we're going to pass through that binary data through a agent, which will be sent off to a converter file, which is essentially a base64 or binary converting to a file. Or data, which is file, and then we're going to be uploading that data or file to a Google Drive right here. And once Google Drive performs the upload operation, you can log that link into your spreadsheet, and from there you can send out, for example, an email or notification saying, hey, your image generation is completed, and here is the link. And these are essentially the key concepts and key components of an agent. I hope you guys found it useful. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe so I can keep making these videos for you. And if not, guys, as always, I'm gonna see you next time, and I'm gonna wish you happy building.